So, all right. So, Nomi, first off, speaking of running, I don't know if you're aware of this. You are, Michael, you all right? What's going on?
No,
there?
I'm not.
Michael, already.
Whoa.
It's not even
already.
It's not even 8 p.m. on the East Coast, and Michael's already pouring beer on
Gilla, the counties are looking good.
So, Nomi, you are a candidate. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but you are a candidate for public advocate in New York City. What is the public advocate?
So the public advocate, this is perfect timing because for the rest of the night, people are going to be paying attention to the polls. So I might as well get it in while I'm here. So the public advocate of New York is a position that it came out of a real estate scandal. There have only been 4 public advocates, and it's essentially a position that's the watchdog of New York City. It oversees the city council. It oversees is a check on the mayor's office and other agencies. It's there to push the narrative and the platform for the people of New York. I don't know if it's necessarily been used to its fullest capacity in the past, but I think every single public advocate we've had, and there's only been 4, have used it in their own way. I'm hoping in this day and age with real estate really creating the income inequality in the city that's worse than anywhere else in the country at the worst point in history, that I will be a watchdog for the people, the only person in the race as of now and possibly into the future who doesn't take real estate money, has never taken real estate money, and is unafraid and untethered to any political machine. So, I
mean, my understanding is that is one of those positions where you can make of it what it is, a function of the person, more so maybe than any other position, right. Certainly in municipal government. I mean, there was an argument that Zephyr Teachout was going to do something with the AG's office, the state AG's office, that maybe push the boundaries of where it's been or hasn't been in about 30 or 40 years. Mm-hmm. But this is a new position. And it's going to involve taking on a lot of powerful people. I've seen you get into fights with different people, regardless of party, and so I get the sense that you're well suited for something like that.
And if I can toot my own horn, I have a pretty good record on this. I took on the DNC. They put me on that reform commission, and then we reformed it. Is it perfect? No. But it is way more transparent than it ever was. That was my little pet case. We got rid of super delegates on the first ballot. When I was in the platform committee, we fought for the most progressive platform in the Democratic Party, and we got it. We really have been pushing
and we should
very
say,
hard.
That platform has been adopted. I mean, I don't want to say... well, I think we can say widely. I mean, today we spoke to Sean McElwee, and he said 50% of congressional candidates, depending on how you define it, but 50% are pushing Medicare for all across the entire House candidates, and that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I think the polls show that it crosses party lines. I mean, the Bernie Sanders platform is the platform that is going to bring back those voters who either stayed home in 2016 or, God forbid, voted for Trump. So instead of playing blame games and pitting people against each other, we should be talking about what kind of platform is going to make most lives better for Americans at this point when income inequality is soaring. And I think as the New York City Public Advocate, not only do we have to push the platform, we have a fairly progressive city government. But there are some issues that even our most progressive members are just afraid of taking on. And real estate is the number one. I mean, big real estate, they went after Julia Salazar hard. Now, she could have handled it better, of course. But when you start to talk about real estate, you put a target on your back. I've had a target on my back for the last several years. I'm sure they're going to go after me, but we have to be honest with ourselves. There's too much at stake here. It is absolutely unaffordable to live in New York City. People aren't making high enough wages. The subways don't work. The Board of Elections doesn't work, as we saw today. The infrastructure of the state and city are crumbling, and meanwhile you have Wall Street that keeps getting bailed out and taking pay raises, and the real estate industry, which is driving everybody out.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
I agree with you 100% that real estate and housing is definitely the number one, and I like the way you laid it out because it interconnects with all the other major transportation reform. But on a note that I think is relevant for New York, it won't be centered in the campaign, but it's relevant. You've done great coverage on Puerto Rico. And obviously New York has an important relationship with Puerto Rico, and we still see Puerto Rico is still kind of ground zero of colonialism and austerity. What can you do
Yeah.
in terms of the Puerto Rico relationship?
Wow, it's like you're in our office taking notes. We are getting ready to unveil our Puerto Rico platform.
Sweet.
I'm leading with that because I did spend a good chunk of the last year in Puerto Rico. And I do think as New Yorkers, where a good chunk of our population is from Puerto Rico. Sixth borough, exactly. But even further than that, Wall Street, the bondholders, the people who are making money off of the colonization of Puerto Rico and the disaster capitalism, that is here. We sometimes, it's as New Yorkers and politicians go around in every borough and talk to different folks, we forget that we have a responsibility, a duty to the rest of this country to really check Wall Street, which is here. It's like it doesn't exist. It's like its only little island, and it is in a sense.
And how many politicians here go to Puerto Rico parades and then
all the time.
Decimate Puerto Rico in terms of policy?
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, like from a practical standpoint, like what do you do? Like when we talk about real estate, and I think anybody who knows New York, particularly New York City politics, knows that the biggest corrupting force is real estate money. I mean, and everybody, regardless of politicians that I have liked or disliked, they all kowtow in some way to the real estate money. Right. Don't even get me started on Mark Green. But with all that said, what and when you talk about Puerto Rico, when you talk about Wall Street, like from a practical standpoint, what can you do? What can you do? So
this is the conundrum of the Office of the Public Advocate. Every year the budget is set. Every year the budget is different. It's set by the city council speaker and the mayor. They work together on that. Aside from that, the powers are semi-limited of the public advocate. Is there to call out, to be a voice, to use its platform in the best way possible, to push back. There are litigation, they can't litigate within the office, but they can hire litigators. But I think from my perspective, as a former investigative reporter, as a former watchdog, a reformer, I want to use the office to investigate in ways that others have not done, but with, a staff, a very large staff. I mean, I was an investigative reporter of one. I didn't have researchers, and I did stuff that, the office never did. So, for instance, with Wall Street, I'll take it. There's an idea we had where we thought we collect all this public data, when the LLC loophole is a perfect example. Real estate firms are using this LLC loophole in the state to give an extraordinary amount of political contributions to candidates. Right. And they'll house these LLCs. There'll be hundreds of LLCs housed in one building or one, apartment in like Queens or Brooklyn. And it's very hard to figure out who owns these LLCs, who the people are. Now, if you track all the data together and you collect it and you create a site that makes it easier for reporters, they don't have to FOIA, they don't have to go down to City Hall and go through records. If you collect that data, and we've looked into it a bit, and it's not as difficult as you'd think, and you create the patterns and you show, this lawmaker, this city councilman is accepting money from this LLC, which is housed in this place, and this is this person, and this person has this agenda. It starts to tell the tale of what these connections are and who these people are and what their agendas are. That's a simple tool that would be great for reporters in New York. Right. Investigative reporting is very expensive. It could be good for a lot of media companies, but it's also a great tool for citizens. That's just one simple thing that we can do.
So it's almost it's a hybrid between an ombudsman and an inspector general in a way, and in some respects you're both able to do investigations and set up data sets and data points to essentially subsidize the investigations by other entities. Right. Maybe it's trial lawyers. Maybe it's reporters. Maybe it's other public interest groups.
Mm-hmm. They're going to go after you hard.
The public interest groups? No,
yes.
Yeah, the public interest groups.
Common Cause.
The Common Cause is really alarmed by your proposals.
We're going to tune in back into this.